Hello everybody, welcome back to The Miracle Perspective, and I'm your host, TMP. Guys, today I've got a special guest. We're going international, guys, as you've seen so far. And today I've got a special guest. She is a motivational speaker. She's a voiceover artist, a well qualified voiceover artist. Trust me. She is the president of the UP International Students from the University of Pretoria. And she is a qualified lawyer. On top of that, she's now majoring in communications. Hey, ladies, are you here? And I'm talking about Elma Akob. Welcome to the show, Elma.
Thank you so much for having me, Miracle. It is an awesome opportunity to be here.
Wonderful. And I really appreciate you coming over and accepting my invitation. I know you're quite a busy lady and you should be studying and doing other stuff, but you really took time to do this. I appreciate that.
No, definitely. It's worth my time.
Wonderful. I hope it is worth everybody else's time that's watching this, and I know that you are bringing heavy nuggets. So let me get straight to it. Guys, the biggest concern and the biggest reason why I got Elma here is because I've been talking about everything else, but not talking about education and what the students are going through during this time of COVID-19. And I really needed to get a student's perspective on what's happening. And I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now with online learning taking place, with a lot of things taking place. So I just wanted to get the real feel from a student, and not just a student, but a person who has a voice in the academic space. And that's why I got Elma. And Elma, I'll just bring it to you now. Let's get straight to it. What are your views with this current issue of COVID-19 from a student's perspective? What can you say to this whole issue?
So with COVID-19, like any crisis, it's something that none of us could have prepared for. I think at the beginning of January when this year started and we all said that 2020 is going to be my year, no one thought that any of this was going to happen. So from a student perspective, it has taken quite a toll on us. Our education has somewhat been threatened in some way. Mental health has been threatened in some way. Students used to stay in res and are being stuck at home with their families. Some of them don't have such great relationships with their families. From an education perspective, most of us are audio-visual learners. And so this new system of online learning is something that we'll need to learn and something that will take time for us to become acquainted with. So as students, we have equally faced quite a few challenges with the COVID-19, apart from the obvious health crisis as well.
Wow. And what can you say from the university's point of view? Do you think what they did or what they are doing right now is quite enough? And what is it that they are doing to meet the students halfway?
Okay, so I must start by commending the University of Pretoria. I think they have done an exceptional job in trying to accommodate students. Like I said, this is something that no institution could have been prepared for. And so with crisis management, you basically step into it and you do what you can in that moment. And so under the leadership of Professor Kube, as well as the SRC President David, they've been able to get a zero-rated data for some of the different websites that we as students need for MTN, Vodacom, Cell C, and Telkom, which is a huge achievement. It's something that I haven't heard of any other university doing. So they are currently also working on trying to get devices for students who don't have access to smart devices. So, which is why they've been able to push our academic term to only start on the 4th of May. So from my opinion, I feel like they are really trying to be accommodative of all students. Of course, though, there are going to be the students who, even with all of this being done, will still struggle. And it's a hard thing. It's a hard place to be. Especially with international students, we found out that there's about 200 international students who went back home and now obviously don't have access to this Telkom and Vodacom and all of these other networks. And so we are actively still trying to think of ways that we can assist them, because as you can imagine, it's very difficult helping from across the border.
So what specifically is your role in all this as the UP International Student Representative, the president of that? What is your role in all this?
So my role in all of this is to make sure that the voices of international students are heard, to make sure that their complaints go through, to make sure that their challenges are also heard by the top management. For example, something that you might consider so small would be a huge impact on an international student. We have students in Canada and America who have completely different time zones to us here in South Africa. And so just by that alone, you can see that the lecturing times, if they had to schedule set lecturing times, they might miss lectures because they'll be, 6 hours behind and trying to match up with the lecturing time of South African students, things like that. So things that management might have slipped, things that they maybe never considered before. As the issues arise, we make sure that it is heard by the people who can do something about it.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned the point of the university trying to get devices for those that are less fortunate and those that do not really have those devices to be connected to the education and academics. I think it's quite a good thing and something to be really commended for the higher institutions of higher learning, because I heard that Stellenbosch as well has invested about millions, 16 million in computers and stuff like that for students that are less fortunate and all that. So I think it's really a nationwide thing. I'm just not sure about all the other universities, but if that is done by all the universities, I say big ups. So now to you, Elma, what can you say to your fellow students? I mean, universities are one entity playing their role. They're doing whatever they can to try and mitigate this issue. But now from the students' perspective, what are you saying to your fellow students, international and like national?
So to my fellow students, I would like to say that there's no hurdle that is too big that we cannot overcome. And so this is something that the world is facing. It is a global issue, and we can all relate to it in different ways. And so in this time, do not be despaired and do not be discouraged, but keep working hard. One thing that we cannot afford to do is slack or become complacent or decide to put academics to the side, because knowledge is power. And whether this virus is here or it's going to go, we're still going to require that knowledge. So my encouragement to the students is that do not use this time to forget what it is that you had strived to achieve at the end of this year. Do not use this as an excuse to put your goals aside. Goals are achieved regardless of what the walls that you need to overcome, the walls that you're facing in front of you. So use this as a motivation to be that generation of students that made it, even though we went through COVID-19. When the history books are written, be that person who people can say, even though I was in lockdown, even though I was stuck in a home with 5 different people, I still made it. And let that be your testimony. Let that be your motivation. Let that be what drives the students to carry on and to keep on keeping on. And lastly, take care of yourselves. This is an opportunity in some way. If you have an opportunity to breathe and to just to just reflect on life and reflect on your decisions and reflect on your goals, do that. And once your mental health is in check, go for it. Go for your goals. Yeah.
Wow. You said something really profound. Well, you said a lot of profound things there in your statement, but what was really big for me was that one thing you want to say to yourself at the end of this is that even though I was surrounded by 5 people in the family, I still made it through. And I think that's an excuse that most people are going to use at the end of the day, hey? To come back and say, yeah, I didn't manage to get through the year because, I come from a family of 5 and I couldn't study. But what you said there, can you just repeat it, man? I found it very profound.
Sure. So I was saying that let's use this as an opportunity to build on our motivation. So instead of using it as an excuse to say that, unfortunately, because I was in a family of 5, because I went through this, because of COVID-19, I couldn't complete my degree. Let's say, in spite of COVID-19, I still made it to the finish line. I still achieved what I came to achieve in 2020, and 2020 is still my year. So yeah.
Wonderful. I like that, Elma. I like that. Let's get to you in a few seconds. Elma is from Cameroon, guys. Bonjour, comment ça va? They're in Cameroon, everybody. Yeah, so
that's right.
What do you say? Repeat what you just said.
No, I was agreeing with you. I was saying bonjour. I was greeting.
Oh yeah. So she's from Cameroon and she's been here for about 10 years now. And I mean, she's a South African, but a Cameroonian. She's in touch with the Cameroon people. And I just want to get a little bit from her about Cameroon, like from the conversations and the engagements you've been having in Cameroon with your Cameroonian people. What's happening in Cameroon during this time?
Okay, so I'm fully 100% Cameroonian. I go back home every December. My family is back home, so I'm very in touch with my Cameroonian side. What's going on back home? So, you know, we've got to understand that what the West is doing, sometimes we cannot achieve as well, as much as we would like to. In Cameroon, majority of the people are farmers. Majority of the people make money every day in order to carry on their daily lifestyles. And so having something like a shutdown, like a nationwide shutdown, is very hard to control. But I do know that they have stopped the transport in between the universities as well for now. So they're doing online learning at the moment. And they're trying their best. It's also a very Christian, very religious country. So telling people not to go to church is an issue.
Oh, really?
Okay. So now there's a problem with quarantine and telling people not to go to church. People don't get that. They understand that there's a virus, but telling them not to go to church is a problem. So what's happening? What's that situation like?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a, I'll have to find out more information on it, but people are basically saying that, you know, we need to go to church in order to fight this virus. So they can't understand why churches and religious activity is being stopped. Cameroon is also a country that enjoys occasions. So telling a family that they need to postpone their wedding or their funerals because of a virus that they haven't seen physically is also a bit of a shaky situation. And people have hundreds, you know, big African occasions where you have a wedding and there's like 500 people. So the government is trying its best, as well as the different leaders in different communities, to ensure that people know of the dangers of the virus. But at the same time, one thing that I must actually bring up is the rise in African and herbal medication. So as we've seen, for example, in Madagascar, where they say they found a juice which is made up of herbs that's helping them. In the same way, back home, people know of herbs that, you know, they use for things like even, you know, high blood pressure and things like that. And they're incorporating that and saying, you know, by staying healthy, by eating well, by using the traditional things that we know, we'll be fine. And so we'll have to wait and see.
Wow, and I mean, in DRC, they're drinking urine to combat against COVID-19. I was shocked. I was shocked when I saw that on the news. It's amazing, man. But yeah, no, I understand I love what you're saying. Please, when you go back to Cameroon in December, please bring me some cassavas there. I know you guys grow some big cassavas. Wonderful stuff. Okay, now let's get to understand you and what people can come to you for. As a person, I know you are a voiceover artist. Can you just tell me a little bit about that and some of the events that you have done with that? And like, yeah, and you're an MC as well, I know. So tell me more about that and how can people get hold of you?
So I am like you said, an MC, a presenter, a host, a voiceover artist, registered with OSM Talent, which is one of the top agencies in South Africa. I have had my voice played or used by companies such as DSTV, Huawei, MTN, Vodacom, Box Office, Netflix, Gautrain, and you know, the list goes on. So I've been doing this for quite some time. If people would like to get in contact with me, I can give my Instagram handle is at elma.akob. or full stop, Akob. And then if you just send me a message over there, you'll be able to get in contact with me. Miracle, I'll just let you know my email address as well, and you can maybe put that in the description box. But that's basically what I do. So I also do, when it comes to emceeing, I do formal events. I've hosted the Dynamic Ladies Awards in South Africa, which is an awards for the women in diaspora. So I do formal events, and at the same time, I do parties and vibes. And yeah, even weddings. So I cater to the needs of the people. So I'd be very interested in you getting in contact with me if you would like some of that.
That's a rich CV that you have there. I like that, man. Keep going. And what are some of your future aspirations that that you can share with people?
Okay, future aspirations.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm asking that. I'll tell you why I'm asking that. I'm asking that because, I mean, you are in school, you have your law degree, you are still doing your second degree in communications, you are a president of the International Student Society, and you were running to be in the CSR, what do you call the SRC. And you are doing all these things. You're a voiceover artist working with Huawei, all these big companies, but you are a student. So you're not taking any excuse. And that for me is an inspiration that I think most of the young people should draw from you. That's why I want you to tell me about your future aspirations, your future goals, something that you want to achieve with your life, just to encourage all the other people that are listening to you and following you on your social media, so that at least people will get motivation to not take anything in life as an excuse.
Awesome. So my life motto is striving for excellence in all spheres of life. And it's something that I live by. So every single thing that I get involved with, I make sure it is excellent. And just by doing that and that alone, I've been able to have access to, not even have access to, but to work hard enough to receive some things that people my age haven't dreamed of yet. And that is because I've never allowed age or gender or race or nationality to be something that limits me. So when I was 16, I spoke at the UN headquarters in New York. And since then, I had a passion for speaking about African problems and African issues and looking for solutions. So my future goal, one of the biggest ones that I have, is to be not only part of the African Union, but to be the president, the chairperson, the general, the secretary general.
And you will get there.
Union, one day. So, yeah.
Wow, interesting. I love that. Elma, you're an inspiration to me. You're an inspiration to all other people that are listening to you. And I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Sorry for the internet connection problems that we heard at the beginning.
I was just saying thank you so much for the opportunity. You are doing something great here. You really are. This is an excellent platform.
Thank you, Elma. Thank you so much, man. Looking forward to communicating some more with you after this and all this thing that's happening. But otherwise, enjoy your life. All the best with your future aspirations. I do believe that you will make it to being a president of the UN. I know you will get there and you will reach many lives out there. Otherwise, thank you so much, Elma. Enjoy your day and have fun.
Thank you.
Stay safe as well.
I will. You too.
Thank you. Bye. It's finished.
Miracle perspective is in the perspective. It's finished.